Hi guys, in this lecture, we will see enumeration technique. We already made a video about enumeration tools, so check it out. As we saw before that, enumeration is extracting a system's valid usernames, machine names, share names, directory names, and other information. It is a key component of ethical hacking and penetration testing, as it can provide attackers with a wealth of information that can be used to exploit vulnerabilities. It can also be defined as collecting detailed information about the target systems, such as operating and network infrastructure details. Enumeration can be used in both an offensive and defensive manner. Helps us to decipher the detailed information, such as host names, IP tables, SNMP and DNS, application, and banners, audit configurations, and service settings. In short, enumeration helps in finding the attack vectors and threats. Let's see what we have in enumeration classification. Here we can perform enumeration, such as NETBIOS enumeration, SNMP enumeration, LDAP enumeration, NTP enumeration, SMTP enumeration, DNS enumeration, Windows enumeration, and last one is Unix or Linux enumeration. We will cover some of these later in this lecture. Service and port enumeration is a method used to find out the service version and open port that is available on a particular target system. This information is important because with this information the penetration tester can search for security vulnerabilities that exist for that software version and scan it for a way to enter through open port. We have different type of services and port numbers such as DNS zone transfers use TCP and port 53 to maintain consistency in the DNS zone database. TCP port 135 is used by the Microsoft Remote Procedure Call endpoint mapper to allow communication between different processes on a network. The RPC service enables a program to request a service from another computer without needing to understand the network's details. TCP port 137 is used by the NETBIOS name service, a legacy protocol that provides name resolution services on a local area networks. It's often used on Windows-based networks for file and printer sharing. TCP port number 139 is a dedicated port that allows the server message block protocol to run over NETBIOS and provides session services. SMB is an application layer protocol in Windows that lets nodes on a network share resources. This port is primarily used to enable devices and applications to access shared resources. TCP 445 is a network port that the SMB protocol uses to operate over TCP/IP. SMB is a network file sharing protocol that allows nodes on a network to communicate, share files, and use shared resources like printers and directories. It's especially important for intra-network communication and resource sharing in Windows-based networks. Port 161 is dedicated to the Simple Network Management Protocol, which you use to manage and monitor network devices remotely. SNMP managers use port 161 to send commands to the SNMP agents on the devices. SNMP over port 161, which you can mitigate by using the latest version of the protocol and blocking the port in your firewall when you don't need it open. You can use either UDP or TCP transport protocol when sending SNMP commands from an SNMP manager to an SNMP agent over port 161. You will typically use UDP. This is because SNMP data usually doesn't require the overhead associated with TCP, and using UDP is faster. LDAP, Mean Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, often uses TCP or UDP as its transport protocol, and the well-known port for LDAP traffic is 389. LDAP clients use port 389 to connect to LDAP servers for directory services, such as Microsoft Active Directory. For example, when a user logs into their organization's network or looks up an email address, their LDAP client makes a request over port 389. The Simple Mail Transfer Protocol is a technical standard for transmitting email over a network. Like other networking protocols, SMTP allows computers and servers to exchange data regardless of their underlying hardware or software. Let's see. Enumeration process. Look it on this structure. Port scanning is the most common form of enumeration. This is used to discover the various services which can exploit the systems. This includes all the systems that are connected to local area network or accessing the network via the modem which runs the services. We can find out what services are running, who are the owners of these services, and if any of them requires a separate authentication. This is the process of enumeration. First identification the target, then perform port scanning, and then system fingerprinting, and identification of services, system components. NETBIOS enumeration is a technique used to gather information about a network and its resources, particularly in Windows environments. It involves querying NETBIOS services to obtain details such as computer names, user accounts, shared resources, and more. This information can be useful for network administrators for management purposes, or for attackers seeking to exploit vulnerabilities. We can use different tools for NETBIOS enumeration, such as NBTstat, NBTscan, Hyena, and Nmap. Let's go to Kali Linux machine and also open our Metasploitable machine for perform NETBIOS enumeration. First of all, check the IP address. Our IP address is 10.0.2.15. NBTscan is a program for scanning IP networks for NETBIOS name information. It sends NETBIOS status query to each address in supplied range and lists received information in human-readable form. In help command, they show us how to use it. Let's use this tool for check whole subnet. This is our network address. As you can see, the first one is our Kali Linux machine, and the second one is our Metasploitable machine. They are offering NETBIOS services. Of course, the last one is our private network address. Here you can see our Metasploitable machine IP address. Let's get some more detail. We use this tool, Enum for Linux. This is an enumeration tool capable of detecting and extracting data from Windows and Linux operating systems, including those that are Samba or SMB hosts on a network. Enum for Linux is capable of discovering the password policies on a target. Here you can see a bunch of information about this IP address. Here you can see complete information about operating system, like names, server name, platform ID, OS version, and server type. Let's use another tool, which is Nmap. This is our command. Don't worry if you don't know this command in detail. We will bring complete Nmap course on this channel. Here you can see, Nmap give exact information about our target machine. SNMP enumeration is a powerful technique for gaining insights into network devices, facilitating effective network management. However, it's crucial to perform these activities responsibly and within legal and ethical boundaries. Unauthorized SNMP enumeration can lead to security vulnerabilities and legal consequences. Simple Network Management Protocol is an application layer protocol which uses UDP protocol to maintain and manage IP network routers, hubs, and switches, other network devices on an IP network. SNMP enumeration is used to enumerate user accounts, passwords, groups, system names, devices on a target system. Before SNMP enumeration, first understand that it consists of three major components: managed device, agent, and network management system. These three are the major components of SNMP. A managed device is a device, or a host, technically known as a node, which has the SNMP service enabled. These devices could be routers, switches, hubs, bridges, computers, etc. An agent can be thought of as a piece of software that runs on a managed device. Its primary job is to convert the information into SNMP-compatible format for the smooth management of the network using SNMP protocol. Network management system is a software systems that are used for monitoring of the network devices. The process of enumerating user accounts and devices on a target machine using SNMP enumeration, it's made up of a manager and an agent. The agent is embedded in every network device, while the manager is installed on a separate computer to access and configure the SNMP agent from the management station. SNMP stores to passwords. Number 1. Read the community string by default. It is public and allows viewing of device system configuration. Number 2 is read-write community string. It is private by default and allows remote configuration editing. These default community strings are used by attackers to gather information about a machine. Attackers use SNMP to gather data on the network's resources such as hosts, routers, devices, shares, and so on, as well as network information such as ARP tables, routing tables, traffic, and so on. An agent running on every SNMP device will be providing access to a read and writable database. The database is referred to as the Management Information Base, which is organized hierarchically and is a virtual database containing a formal description of all the network objects, identified by a specific object identifier that can be managed using SNMP. It's a giant repository of values and settings. There is a manager involved in the process, and the manager will query the agent for various details. There are different tools you can use it for. SNMP enumeration. Before starting the enumeration, we need first to discover whether the SNMP port is open. To check whether the port is open, we can use the Nmap port scan. Let's open our Windows Server machine and check IP address. Then come to Kali Linux and type these command. We are looking for SNMP, so the port number is 161. And the target IP address. Admin permission required to run this command. Here we go. This is our result. The port is open. Remember, this port is mostly closed by default. We will open this port manually. If you don't know how to open this port, let us know in the comment below. Let's check our IP addresses. This is our Kali Linux machine IP address. And this one is our Windows Server 2016 IP address. Remember, your port must be open before run this command. SNMP check and type target IP address. These all information come from target machine. Because port 161 is open, now we get these all information about target machine through open port. Here you can see SNMP numerator tool name and version. These all information about system, like host IP address, host name, domain, etc. We have some information about user accounts. C. Network information. Like here, IP forwarding is not enabled. TCP segments information. Scroll down. Here we have network interfaces information. Like MAC addresses, IDs, speed, etc. Let's scroll down. Here we have network IP addresses and net mask. Also we have routing information. About destination, netstop mask, and metric. Here we have TCP connections and listening ports number, which is so important for enumeration. Here we have listening UDP ports. Listening port refers to a service or process on a computer system that is waiting to receive network requests. It can be either TCP or UDP. We have a bunch of network services. As you can see, these are all network services, which is running on this device. They are typically run on servers and are based on protocols that run at the application layer in the OSI model of the network. Also we have processes information, which is again so important for pen testing. We have storage information. Device ID, device unit, memory size, used memory, etc. With just one tools, you can get these whole kind of information from the target system. Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. This is Internet Protocol that works on TCP/IP, used to access information from directories. The LDAP protocol is used to access an Active Directory. What is Active Directory in short? This is a directory service and database that helps organizations manage their IT infrastructure and network resources. It's a key component of IT infrastructure that allows users to access devices, applications, and systems across the cloud and on-premises. Active Directory provides a centralized platform for managing devices, users, domains, and objects, and offers several benefits. That's it for Active Directory. We will cover Active Directory in penetration testing section. Let's come to the topic. LDAP enumeration is a technique used to enumerate the Active Directory. This service mainly runs on TCP ports 389 and 639 as default. LDAP enumeration can help enumerate usernames, addresses, and much juicy information that can be later used for other attacks, like social engineering attacks. LDAP queries can be used to enumerate various things like usernames, groups, and much more stuff. We have some different tools for LDAP enumeration. For example, Nmap, Enum for Linux, WinDAP Search, LDAP Search, JExplorer. Let's go to the Kali Linux for LDAP enumeration. But first, check the target machine IP address. This is our Windows machine IP address. Let's check all LDAP services, open ports, with help of Nmap tool. Script option in Nmap network scanning allows users to select scripts to perform a variety of tasks, including network discovery, version detection, vulnerability detection, vulnerability exploitation, and penetration testing. LDAP search script attempts to perform an LDAP search and return all matches, which can be used to search for and read records in the LDAP directory. Let's try this command for ping. Let's see how many services ports are open related to LDAP service. We have different types of port are open. For example, domain, Kerberos, NETBIOS, LDAP, and LDAP SSL, etc. Let's clear the Nmap result. We already know that our services are open. Let's try another tool for LDAP enumeration. The LDAP search tool is a command line utility that can be used to search for entries in LDAP. It's available from LDAP server vendors and can be used to verify information before configuration and troubleshoot problems during configuration. Let's see what we have in help command. You can use these different type of arguments. Let's talk about this tool. LDAP search tool can perform a variety of search operations, including simple entry retrieval and more advanced searches that involve security or directory referrals. It does this by opening a connection to a specified server using the specified identity and credentials, and then locating entries based on a specified search filter. The search scope can include a single entry, an entry's immediate sub-entries, or an entire tree or subtree. The results of the search are displayed in LDAP data, interchange format text. Here we will give target IP address. Let's check for help to understand these arguments. Here you can see arguments and their description. -X used for simple authentication. Hit Enter for result. These are the information about our target machine. You can get these all kind information about user, which is so important. We also cover Active Directory in a penetration testing. Check host name. Here you can see the exact result. These are the information about target machine and domains, groups, etc. LDAP is used to search your Active Directory for information about users, computers, and groups within your Active Directory database. LDAP queries can be run from multiple different tools, including PowerShell, LDAP Search, VB Scripts, and the Saved Queries feature in Active Directory users and computers. In these 3 lines, we have important information, like LDAP service name, server names, and common name configuration. Let's try another tools, which is Enum for Linux. Here target IP address. We have in target information, IP address, usernames, passwords. We have NETBIOS information about names, state, domain name, domain controller, MAC address. Here we have also Domain Security Identifier. This is a unique alphanumeric string that identifies a user, group, or computer on a domain-controlled network. These all types of information we will get in enumeration phase. NTP enumeration. The Network Time Protocol is a protocol for synchronizing time across your network. This is especially important when utilizing directory services. There exists a number of time servers throughout the world that can be used to keep systems synced to each other. This can be useful for network administrators to ensure proper time synchronization, or for security professionals to identify potential vulnerabilities. How's the hackers use it for enumeration? Attacker can discover NTP servers on the network. This information can then be used to find vulnerable NTP servers, or simply to further enumerate the network. Servers that are allowed access from the internet usually have a much higher chance of being exploitable. An attacker will often use both DNS and brute force methods to find these servers, as well as using Shodan search engine, or Senses, to find unprotected devices. While NTP servers are typically given special access to the network. They do not always have to be on the same network. For example, an attacker may compromise a server with an open port and use NTP to take a list of hosts that are connected to him or her. The attacker can then send that list to scanners that scan for vulnerable hosts. The difference between this and other types of vulnerability is the amount of research involved and hardware exploitation options. This can be used against wireless networks because many manufacturers will disable wireless access from their default factory settings. There are also less obvious ways to use it as well, such as traffic mirroring. I hope you got it. Let's understand how hackers perform NTP amplification attack. The NTP protocol, using UDP, it allows for operation without the need for handshake procedures, not like TCP. This characteristic is exploited in NTP, DDoS amplification attacks. Here, attackers create packets with a fake source IP, making it seem as if the attack requests come from the victim. These packets, initially small, prompt the NTP server to respond with much larger data volumes, amplifying the attack. In this type of DDoS attack, an attacker exploits a vulnerable NTP server's monolith feature, which sends data about the last 600 hosts connecting to the server. The attacker spoofs their target's IP and sends a small query to the server, which responds by sending a large amount of data to the spoofed IP. This saturates the target's network with excessive traffic, disrupting its normal function. Let's go to Kali Linux and see how can we enumerate about this protocol. Search for Senses. Click on this first link. Wait for human verification. In this search engine, we will search NTP protocol. This is our search result. You can see, here we have NTP protocol related IPs. Let's click on IP, go into little bit detail. Here we have basic information. And below we have NTP protocol header, we have version, etc. Also we have IP geolocation. Click on this button for more information. Here we have almost complete detail about this IP. You can see country location detail, network information, operating system information, and much more. There are too much information. You can check. Okay, let's see another tool, which is also famous. NETBIOS Shodan. Okay, let's see another tool, which is also famous. NETBIOS Shodan. Shodan is a search engine that lets users search for various types of servers, webcams, routers, servers, etc. Here just type for NTP protocol. In result you can see more information about these protocols and their related IP addresses. Let's click on IP address. Here we have some more information about this IP. We have general information, open ports, TCP and UDP information. These two tools is so useful for enumeration. I think that enough for NTP enumeration. But let's see what we have in command line tool. We are in Kali Linux. Just type for NTP. Below you can see list of related commands. If these are not installed in your system, you can install it. I am going to install NTPQ. NTP date command sets the local date and time by polling the NTP server specified to determine the correct time. Let's install it. This command will give you all information about this tool: name, description, and usage, etc. Let's see how to use these arguments. Add target IP here. As an example, we will copy IP address from showed in search engine and paste here. I just showed you in this lecture how you can enumerate NTP protocol. Let's use this command line tool. Here we will set host IP address. Let's pierce it. Actually, I'm not going to perform penetration testing. So, in this way, we can perform enumeration and can find vulnerability, etc. After enumeration, the next phase will be penetration testing. NTP is a UDP-based protocol that is used to synchronize computer clocks on the internet. Attackers exploit it to amplify DDoS attacks. Process of NTP amplification attack divided into 5 steps. The attacker spoofs the victim's IP address and sends a small UDP request to a vulnerable NTP server. Number 2, the NTP server thinks the request is legitimate and sends a much larger UDP response back to the spoofed victim's IP address. Number 3, by forwarding responses from thousands of NTP servers, the attacker uses amplification factors of 50x to 100x or more. Number 4, This allows relatively small requests of just a few kilobits to generate gigabits or terabits of attack traffic that floods the victim. And the last one, common NTP commands, such as monlist, are abused to generate large responses. Before enumeration, first let's see, what is SMTP? SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer, is a protocol which is used for sending emails across networks. It is a text-based protocol that allows email clients to communicate with email servers to send and relay messages. Here are some key points about SMTP. Number 1. Functionality. SMTP is primarily used for sending emails from a client to a server or between servers. It does not handle the retrieval of emails. That is typically done using protocols like Post Office Protocol or Internet Message Access Protocol. Number 2. Ports. SMTP commonly operates over port 25. For unencrypted communication it uses port 587. Number 3. Commands. SMTP uses a series of commands and responses to facilitate communication. For example, hello used for identifies the sender to the server. Mail from used for specifies the sender's email address. RCPT2 used for specifies the recipient's email address. Data used for indicates the start of the email content. Number 4. Authentication. Modern SMTP servers often require authentication to prevent unauthorized use. This can involve username and password verification. And the last one is limitations. SMTP has limitations regarding the size of emails and attachments, which can vary by server configuration. Let's go to Kali Linux and see how we can enumerate SMTP. The NC command, also known as netcat, is a Linux command line utility that allows users to read and write data across network connections using TCP or UDP. This is our metasploitable machine IP address. Let's see how many commands we have. We have bunch of commands we can use, but here we will use vrfy command. Okay, we have root user available. Let's see root user on a metasploitable local domain. If it give us error, it mean we don't have user. But if not, it mean our target machine username is confirmed. This is how we can enumerate our target. Remember, this machine is already vulnerable. That's why enumerate it easily, but in real world, it's not so easy. You must know each and every step. Let's use another tool, which is SMTP user enum. We will use this tool for enumerating OS-level user accounts. This is the documentation. You can check it. Before use any tool in Kali Linux, first of all, try with help command. It gives you some idea that how can you use this tool. Here is how we can use this tool. Let's use this tool. This is the result. We have worker process. We have target count and username count, target TCP port, and below, this is our target system username. Okay, let's talk about FTP. Before go into FTP enumeration, first, let's know about FTP. FTP means File Transfer Protocol, which is one of the earliest and also the most common forms of transferring files on the internet. Located in the application layer of the OSI model, FTP is a basic system that helps in transferring files between a client and a server. It is what makes the FTP unique that the system provides a reliable and efficient means of transferring files from one system to another, even if they have different file structures and different operating systems. FTP is a standard communication protocol. There are various other protocols, like HTTP, which are used to transfer files between computers, but they lack clarity and focus as compared to FTP. Let's understand quickly different types of FTP. The first one is Anonymous FTP. Anonymous FTP is enabled on some sites, whose files are available for public access. A user can access these files without having any username or password. Instead, the username is set to anonymous, and the password is to the guest by default. Here, user access is very limited. For example, the user can be allowed to copy the files but not to navigate through directories. Second type is password-protected FTP. This type of FTP is similar to the previous one, but the change in it is the use of username and password. FTP Secure. It is also called as FTP Secure Sockets Layer. It is a more secure version of FTP data transfer. Whenever FTP connection is established, transport layer security is enabled. Another type of FTP is FTP over Explicit SSL or TLS. This type of FTP helps by upgrading FTP connection from port 21 to an encrypted connection. Secure FTP is not an FTP protocol, but it is a subset of Secure Shell Protocol, as it works on port 22. FTP can transfer large files in one shot, thus applicable when hosting websites, backing up servers, or sharing files in large quantities. Files on a remote server can be uploaded, downloaded, deleted, renamed, and copied according to the user's choices. Automating file transfers. FTP is a great protocol for the execution of file transfers on predefined scripts and employments. Accessing public files. Anonymous FTP means that everybody, irrespective of the identity, is allowed to download some files with no permissions needed. Let's move to enumeration part. First of all, we will check the port. Is their FTP port is open or close? We will use Nmap tool. Port number is 21, and let's check the target IP. This is our Metasploitable machine IP address. Here, FTP port is open. This is not necessary that each target machine FTP should be open. Metasploitable machine is already vulnerable, and for practice, that's why port is open. Let's connect to target machine with FTP. Name is anonymous, and password also will be anonymous. We log in successfully.